Well, hello world.
33, 45, spin those records round. 33, 45.
All the best in hi-fi reviews.
Spin those records round.
Stick to me for the best advice.
Stick to me for the best advice.
Hello world. Feeling like some photography?
Photography 101.
Hello world.
33, 45.
You're with me, Mark P. Muzz.
Or Marky P, or Bad Boy Marky, or just plain Mark. Right, well, hello world. I just wanted to kind of detail a couple of retail experiences that I've had recently at vinyl shops. And yeah, I mean, I'm not in the best place today. I'm not really feeling very well. And so I thought I would give myself a little bit of vinyl therapy to kind of cheer myself up after I'd posted a couple of quite difficult letters to post. And yeah, they've been occupying my mind all day and nearly making myself sick over them. And so I thought, yeah, a bit of vinyl therapy, that'll cheer me up a bit. You know, even if I've got to spend a little bit of money, at least, you know, I've got something for the channel and I can, you know, enjoy playing those records. Not that I need any more vinyl, but, you know, I just thought, you know, if there is any, and I quite fancied some 60s soul. So I went into our local second-hand vinyl shop, which is quite new. It's only just sprung up. It's called Wow Flutter in Hastings. And it's quite a nice place. You can have a coffee in there and browse and whatever. And I've been in there before. I've bought records in there before. I bought that Otis Redding record in there, and a record by Martha and the Vandellas in there. And the guy was quite happy there for me to chat about, you know, how good those albums were to me. So I went in there today, thinking, oh, they're quite nice people in there. And I chose 4 albums. 2 were in the full price section. One was a double album of Elton John Greatest Hits, which I quite like our Elton, really, for all his faults. I quite like him. And I also chose an album of Philadelphia ballads. Those were a tenner and a fiver each. And then I looked down and I saw their bargain basement thing, which was £3 each or 4 for a tenner. And yeah, I picked out 2 records there, and I thought, well, you know, I'll ask them just because hopefully they'll say yes. You know, rather than spending £21 as it would have worked out, I could have spent 20 if they'd said, all right, well, we'll do 2 for a fiver, kind of thing, from the bargain basement thing, which is pro-ratering, therefore, for a tenner. And there were 2 there. They were behind the counter. There was a woman that I hadn't seen before, and it wasn't as if they just said no, sorry. I said, you know, oh, you know, would you do those 2 for a fiver, kind of thing, to make it £20. And it wasn't, you know, it wasn't as if they said no, sorry. It was, oh, not really. That's the price they're on at. Oh, that one, it was an ELO album. That one is a steal to get it for that. So I'm thinking, well, if it's that much of a steal, why haven't you marked it up at full price? There must have been a reason why you put it in the bargain bucket in the first place. So, you know, and I just said, you know, if you're that bothered about £1, then no, sorry. And walked away. And then I felt absolutely awful because as soon as I walked out of the shop, someone came up and asked me for 40p in change. And I tend to take a bit of a hardline view on people that come up to you and ask you for money just for nothing, basically. And so I said, I haven't got any change. Probably true. I probably don't have that in change. And, you know, and I felt a bit awful about that, because I normally give to people that I see out on the street and who need it, but it tends to come from me wanting to give that person that thing rather than them coming up and asking for it. I'm quite philanthropic really, and once I saw this chap outside King's Cross station, and it was freezing cold. It was January. It's freezing cold, and this bloke was lying there on the pavement trying to get his sleeping bag over him, hacking away and sneezing away, and he obviously wasn't a well bunny, and I thought, God, this bloke's going to die. So I went up, and I said to him, look, you're not a very well bunny at the moment, are you? And I helped that person, probably more than I was asking for, in fact, much more than I was asking for from this tuppence halfpenny vinyl shop that just seemed to now know how to lose customers. For the sake of £1, it really wasn't worth it, On the flip side of that coin, the Vinyl Frontier in Eastbourne is a great shop. It's 25 minutes down the road by train from me, and whenever I've been in there, they've always been really pleased to sell something, because, to be honest, it's great having all these vinyl shops around, because they're a niche. Everyone talks about the vinyl revival, man. Every hi-fi article you look at with the record player will start off with an essay about how vinyl refuses to go away, and how in the 80s they tried to kill it with CD and they won't kill it yet, and look, there's a new record player on the market from so and so, and it's basically to try and fill up column inches really, because they've got nothing else to say. And I just I've given up reading hi-fi magazines now, because I either find them totally boring, or advertising products I've got no interest in, or basically I just waffling basically. And so even Hi-Fi World, which I respect as a magazine and respect the opinions of the writers in there, but sorry, it's it's all at the moment, with me being ill and everything, it's all been too much to even get involved in that. And and I also tend to steer clear from photography magazines and camera magazines and things like that as well, because again, they seem to be very good at rehashing SOS, which is same old sugar, or read into that what you will. That's kind of got me off the point a little bit, but the point is that the Vinyl Frontier in Eastbourne, I went in there the other day, or the other week, and I was on my way back from somewhere important. Yes, I know where I was on my way back from. Yeah, it was yet another clinic appointment, and again, I thought, we all got thrown off the train by Southern Rail at Eastbourne, because there must have been a phantom driving the train from Lewes to Eastbourne, but they suddenly said we haven't got a driver. Like, who was driving the train before? So we all got thrown off at Eastbourne anyway, and I decided to just have a little walk in Eastbourne. Went up to the Vinyl Frontier, and their cash machine had broken, their card machine had broken, so couldn't pay by card. But I got the Love album and that Cooler Shaker K thing, which is down here somewhere. I'll give you a better look at it. There it is. Okay, I've taken the shrink wrap off it now. I haven't looked at this yet, but there's a lovely booklet in there. It's got an essay in it about the album in there, and that's really great. There doesn't seem to be any bonus material in terms of like the CD tin for the 15th anniversary edition had like an extra CD in it, and interviews and goodness knows what else in it as well. It was really well packaged, whereas like this vinyl, I'm just looking here, and it's basically a leaflet, and I'm not sure even whether or not it's the remastered version or whether or not it's a new version, or whether or not it's just basically the original album pressed on decent vinyl. Certainly feels very thick vinyl in there. I'll have a look at that later. I wanted those albums. They said, oh, sorry, cash machine not working, whatever. And so they said, oh, there's a cash point 2 doors along there, and they were all very friendly. Now at that point, they stood a chance of losing a customer, because the minute that you send someone out of the shop empty-handed, the chances of them actually coming back to buy the thing must be at least 50-50. Okay, I talked about this years ago when I had a particularly nasty experience in Abercrombie and Fitch. If you're the Cavalier, you might like to try and find that story. It's on my channel somewhere. I might tweet it to you because it's quite interesting, really. But I went back. When I went back, so on the way out, there was a French student in there or something that was working behind the counter, and he didn't know the Love album, whatever, and he looked at them, and he looked at the Cooler Shaker album, what's this kind of thing, and the other guy in there was, the old Cooler Shaker, band from the 90s, and Love, Arthur Lee, band from the 60s, and they had this great album out, whatever, and that's me on my way out of the shop. Went to the Spar shop where the cash point was, took out my money, came back into the shop, and there, being played, was that Love album. Not the exact same copy as mine, but what it showed was a kind of respect towards the customer for choosing a good album in the first place, trying to make the customer feel welcome by saying, look, the thing that you've purchased in this shop is something that we would play over the speakers to all our other customers as well. And I'm afraid that Wow and Flutter in Hastings, you've lost that, okay? Certainly from me. It's a real shame, because you're only about 5 minutes walk away from where I live. And, I would, spend all my life in there if I had the money to and had the time to. So unfortunately, Wow and Flutter, rather than cheering up my day, you've just made it a little bit miserable, and all for the sake of £1. Okay, and it wasn't the fact that you wouldn't let me have £1 off it. It was the fact that you made all this big and ah about it, and how much of a steal I was getting for that ELO album for £3, when I could walk into a charity shop and probably find it for £3 anyway. Sorry, but there's plenty of other fish in the sea, and I'm afraid that you're not one of them. So I will see my lovely viewers later, and sorry to be mean and a bad egg about it all and everything, but there you go. I just found there really a shop that kind of doesn't deserve any customers for just for the sake of £1. It's such a shame. Okay, anyway, I will see you later. I hope you like my new channel intro, by the way. Once upon a time, and this was years and years and years ago, I was following a channel on YouTube, and they asked for a piece of music to be written as a trailer for their channel. And I whipped up the music for that in about sort of an hour and a half or something like that. And sent it to them, and for whatever reason they kind of said, oh, we didn't get the file format or whatever, and I never heard anything about it. Yesterday, because I've been thinking for a little while, I really ought to spruce this channel up and make it a little bit more appealing to people, kind of thing. So I had a row with my computer, i.e. a row with iMovie, whilst I was trying to make the actual video elements of that trailer. For some reason or other, I couldn't figure out how to get it to change the music. There didn't seem to be any kind of option there to change the music. You had to put up with whatever iTunes gave you. but yeah, I quickly cobbled together some naff vocals, which took me all of about 20 minutes to do, over the top of that piece of music, which is like from about sort of 2008 or something like that. I made that piece of music, one of the first pieces I made on Logic. And so I hope you like it, and hopefully it'll draw in a few more viewers. And if you think that other people ought to be watching my channel, then do please share it, okay? And I'll put all my social media-y kind of things here as well, because I'd like to build it up just a little bit. Because, yeah, I mean, I've spoken about this before, you know, I make about threepence every time somebody watches one of these videos that's got ads on it, and it'd be nice to have that actually pay a little bit more money than it does, because at the moment I get paid about once a year from it. And and you know, to give you an idea of what that is, there's a minimum payment that they will make of £60, so you have to wait till you cross that £60 threshold before they'll pay you, and it quite often takes me absolutely ages, because I'm not one of these newfangled YouTubers that shouts and puts plinky plonky music and awful jump cuts on every video. So, you know, I talk and I express my opinions and what have you, and you know, I think some people like it, and if you don't, I'm afraid there are loads and loads and loads of jazzy YouTube channels, and you're quite welcome to watch those instead of watching me. But it'd be nice if you did. Anyway, see you later. Bye bye.